Good morning, know-it-alls. This is Norm, and I have with me the Miami Marlins president, David. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing pretty good out here in Oregon. A little bit wet, so we kind of wish we had some of that sun from Florida.
Well, we've got a lot of it to spare right now.
That's
It's gorgeous today.
That's good. That's good. So let's chat a little bit about your Survivor experience. So first of all, what happened?
Well, other than I lost a lot, it was a moment in time where they asked to vote a leader, and they just looked at me in my blazer and on the Brains tribe, and they said, "You be the leader." And I was the oldest male on the tribe, and it just was the beginning of the end. You don't want to be an early leader in Survivor, and it definitely cost me.
So if you had another chance to do it, would you wear the blazer again?
If I knew it were brains versus bronze versus beauty, no, I would not have. But again, how could you not think of a blazer? I thought I was lucky to have it because I could use it as a pillow, or I could use it as an extra layer if it got cold. I could use it to give to girls if they got cold, to try to curry favors with them. If I got wet, I could have two layers instead of one to always have something dry. So in hindsight, it made great sense, but it just worked the exact opposite of how I thought it would.
So obviously, you were brought in by helicopter, and then you were rushed to this area. Then what happened after that? You had no clue that you were going to be split up in these three tribes.
No idea at all. We get onto the mat. Jeff says, "Welcome to Survivor Cagayan," and he starts talking, and all of a sudden I'm looking around, and I see Morgan and Alexis and Jeff are on one tribe, and I see Tony and Sarah and Cliff on another, and although Sarah could, of course, be on the Beauty tribe or the Brains tribe. And I'm looking around, and I'm just thinking, what is this? And then all of a sudden he starts talking about the qualities you need to win, and I had quite the light bulb go off in my head when I realized that this had something to do with size and looks and smarts. And that was in my head. And then he called it Brains, Bronze, and Beauty, and I knew immediately what tribe we were.
Wow. And so then, like 5 seconds in, you're pretty much dubbed the leader of the tribe, and so you were asked to pick a person, and you picked Garrett. And why did you pick Garrett?
Because I was picking third, and Morgan and Trish had already been chosen, and I thought maybe Jeff was going to have the three of them do a challenge. I thought there was going to be something that my strong guy could have an advantage. Mm-hmm. I knew he wasn't going to get traded out of the tribe because he was wearing a green shirt, and everyone was wearing green but me. So, frankly, I thought I was the one that could switch tribes. But that said, I wouldn't do it differently. It didn't work out for either one of us, and Garrett and I have spoken about that since the game ended, that he going after me and me sort of singling him out caused both of us to lose, especially given that our tribe was so dysfunctional.
Right. So, what it seemed like to me is especially with, the Brain tribe, man, it was like everybody was trying to outdo each other. Everybody was smarter than the other guy. I felt that you guys could have won the challenge, a couple of those challenges.
Yeah, we were, we didn't have it together. We had no chemistry, and I learned a lot being in baseball. Chemistry matters.
Absolutely.
And some people say winning brings chemistry. Well, I think chemistry brings winning. Yep. And you need players who want to win together and want to give of themselves for the team. And we had a bunch of anti-brainiacs, all of whom were trying to lead, none of whom were willing to follow, none of whom would work together properly. So we ended up with no shelter, no food, no water, no fire, and 1/3 of the tribe gone before the game, is 2 hours old.
What was the hardest part of Survivor for you, and what about the social aspect of the game?
I didn't realize I'm old. I'm 46 years old, and I think that all the 20-year-olds, they're like the age of my children. Right. And so that's difficult, but it's workable, and it should have been more workable than it ended up being. I certainly didn't expect to lose first. The challenging part was being, certainly when you're away from family and disconnected, that's hard. But the paranoia and insecurity that you feel on the island is not something I ever feel in the real world.
Right.
And it's really a strange thing to feel that way when also you're hungry and thirsty. So there were 4 different things I was feeling that I just never feel.
Right. So now I've watched pretty much Survivor from the get-go. Man, how tough is it? I mean, do they coddle you guys at all out there while you guys are out there? You know, there's, you know, some people will say, you know, it's fake, but tell us how real it actually is.
Yeah, I expected a green room full of food when the camera stopped rolling. I expected rollaway beds when the shelters don't work. I expected all sorts of things, and all I got was no food and no water. I expected the challenges to be easier. I did one challenge, and the chest was so heavy. The obstacle course was so difficult. They really know what they're doing because it is so different than watching on the couch that it's hard to even explain.
Right. And now, going in, were you a fan of the show?
Yeah, I've watched every episode since 2000, and I knew from the beginning I wanted to be on it just to try it and get out of my comfort zone. I didn't realize how far out of my comfort zone I would get, and it was so great, though. When he says, "Welcome to Survivor Cagayan," you just realize that it's an amazing opportunity you're getting, not just to win the $1 million, but to compete in a game like this, where the people running the game are so smart and doing things that are so entertaining. And sometimes you feel like a pawn, but mostly you just feel happy to be there.
What advice would you give someone wanting to go on the show?
Apply, and then apply again. I waited for the right time to apply. I wanted to apply in 2000, and I waited for the right time, and I realized there's never a right time. You just have to go after what you want. If you really want it badly enough, then do it. But there's so many people who join gyms right after they watch a marathon on TV, or who want to apply to Survivor right after they see it on TV, but no one ever follows through. And if you really want something, follow through and go for it.
Right. Do you have any regrets about playing?
Can you hear me?
Do you have any regrets about playing, with the exception of being the first one voted off?
Zero regrets. I don't regret ever going after something big. You know, the risk of going big is you sometimes lose. And I've appreciated all of the successes I've had because I've had so many failures.
Right.
And if you don't want to be down the middle your whole life, you're going to have some negative and you're going to have some positive, and that's what makes it cool.
So let's talk a little baseball here. The Marlins. What should we expect from Marlins this season?
You know, I'm really looking to a better year than we had last year. And the changes that were made by our baseball guys, we brought in winning players, great chemistry so far in spring training, great desire to work together toward a common purpose of winning games. And it's fun to watch. We have opening day on March 31st, and we have, to me, the great story in baseball of Jose Fernandez taking the ball on opening night a year after he was going to be in Double-A. And look at him now. So there's a lot of good things coming.
Well, I'm a huge baseball fan, and I became a bigger Marlins fan when you hired Brett Butler. And, you know, I would love it if you do me a favor somewhere along the season, give Brett Butler a bottle of water for me and tell him it's from Norm. You know, Brett always carries a bottle of water with him. And so for my final fantasy, my final question would be, so fantasy baseball, give me 2 Marlins sleepers for me.
I think that people underestimate Nate Eovaldi. He is so talented and so good. And I think people aren't as focused on how good Christian Yelich is.
Oh, yeah.
He is a very good young hitter. He uses the field. He can hit for power, but he hits for average as well. He's really good gap to gap. And Nate is just, his stuff is overpowering and interesting. So I'd say if I had sleepers, I'm not sure they're sleepers to us in this organization, but maybe to you.
To the rest of the world, actually. Well, thank you for coming on, and I wish you and the Marlins the best this season, and hopefully we can chat some more sometime.
Hey, anytime. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, David. Bye.